All right, guys. So here we go with 12.3. We did skip 12.2, just so you're not like, wow, what happened? And what I want to remind you guys is that if the angle that we're looking at is on the circle's edge, then this angle is half as much. This arc that it intercepts, though, will be twice as much. So since we see that this angle right here is 17, we know that A is going to be equal to 34. And I got that because I just did 17 times 2, and you get 34. So the angle is always half as much. The intercepted arc is always twice as much. That one's not so bad. It gets a little trickier when you're looking at ones that intercept a lot of arcs. So right here, I'm looking at angle A. All right, and I see that it intercepts that arc that is 42. So I'm going to take, for A, I'm going to do 42, and I'm going to divide it by 2, and I'll get 21. So I know that A equals 21. All right, B is the next one I'm going to do because it's the next piece of information that I actually know. So I'm going to look and see that B intercepts this arc right here, which is 84. And to find B, I'm going to do 84 and divide it by 2. And I will get 42 for B. Okay, and since angle C is not an inscribed angle, we're going to have to play around with this a little bit. What you see here is a triangle that's formed. So we're going to add A and B, these two angles, and we're going to subtract them from 180. So when we add those together, we will get 63. And when we subtract 63 from 180, we get 117. So if you notice, these are vertical angles, which means that C, I'm running out of room, will equal 117 degrees. All right, so they get tricky, right? You just have to be careful and see what you know. All right, so where I'm starting for this angle, I'm going to go ahead and start right here at this angle 108, because that seems to be the one that I have the most information on. And what that tells me is that this has to be doubled, right? So it's got to be 216, which means to find C, since I know that this is 114, I'm going to do 216 and I'm going to subtract, this is for angle C, 114. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll end up with 102. So I know that C equals 102. Okay, so right here is C. I'm just going to scribble that out and write 102. And then the next one that I will want to find is, let's see here, this piece right here. So I use highlighters a lot when I'm doing these just so I can see what it's intercepting. So I see that that's 92, which is going to be 184 when I double it. So to find this piece right here, which is going to help me find A and D, I'm going to go ahead and do 184 minus 114. And I will get 70. So I know that this little piece right here is 70. Okay, so now I need to think about this for a second. So I know that this is 70. Oh, well, now we can find D because we know almost the whole circle, right? So for D, we're going to take the whole circle, which is 360, and I'm going to subtract 102, and I'm going to subtract 114, and I'm going to subtract 70. And when I subtract all of those, that will give me 74. So I know that D equals 74 right here. D equals 74. Okay, so that's bringing me to angle B. You're like, how is it bringing you to angle B? So if I look right here, I'll see that angle B intercepts this arc, which I know that arc measure. I know that when I add 102 and 74, I end up with 176. So to find angle B, because it's an inscribed angle, I'm going to divide that by 2, and I will get 180. Sorry, not 180. I will get 88. So I know that angle B equals 88. All right, so we found angle B. Now we need to find angle A. Okay, so allow me to grab a Post-it so that we have some room to write here. I've got a little scratch in my throat. Whoops, that one's already written on. So to find angle A, I'm going to add these two together, which is going to be 74 plus 70. This is all angle A, right? And that will give me 144. All right, well, I'm going to divide that in half, and I'm going to get 72. So I know that angle A equals 72. And just in case you're following along with me and are wondering what all the angle measures are, because they're all over the place here, angle A equals 72, angle B equals 88, angle C equals 102, and angle D equals 74. Okay, that was a confusing one. It's a tricky one. Oops, 74. All right, let's move on to number 8. Okay, so the good thing here is that this cuts through the middle of the circle right here, right? The center of the circle. And we know that half of a circle is equal to 180. So I know that this part, this whole piece is equal to 180. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these two together and subtract from 360 to go ahead and get A. Okay, make sense? So let's do 122 plus 180, enter, and we'll do 360 minus that answer, and we'll get 58. So we know that angle A equals 58. Again, I knew that this, since this cuts through the center of the circle, I knew this is 180. I added it to 122, and I subtracted those two numbers from 360 to get A. Now I'm going to go ahead and find angle C, which is right here. Whoops, sorry, I was highlighting angle B, which is right here and intercepts this arc. So to find angle C, I'm going to simply take 122 and divide it in half, and that's going to give me 61. All right, so I know that C equals 61. B, if you can see here, it intercepts the semicircle, which I talked about in the notes. So whenever it intercepts the semicircle, right, this half circle, well, half of 180 is 90. So you instantly know that this is a 90 degrees. B equals 90 degrees because it intercepts the circle. And when you guys are putting in your answers, don't worry about putting in the degree sign. If you do, I'm going to try to make sure one of your answer options, so it doesn't mark you wrong, it does have a degree, but don't stress about that. Okay, so now we are going to find angle A. And again, this is an inscribed angle, right? It's on the edge of the circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take 256, divide it by 2, and I'll get 128. All right. That tangent line helps it to be on the side of the circle. Okay, so this one's a little bit different right here because, again, it's an inscribed angle with a tangent line. So in order to find this, I'm going to figure out angle A. I'm going to figure out what angle B is first. And I'm going to do that seeing that this is an entire circle, right? So I'm going to take 360 and I'm going to subtract 144. And that will give me B, this whole arc right here, or major arc, B will be 216. And now A intercepts that arc, doesn't it? So I'm going to go ahead and do 216. I'm going to divide it by 2, and I am going to get 108. So I know that A equals 108. And moving on to our next page, some crazy tricky ones. Okay, so first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do B, because we can see that B intercepts this arc, right? So we're going to say, oh, B, we're going to take that 56 and we're going to divide it in half. So 56 divided by 2, and that's going to give me 28. So I know that B equals 28. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what this piece is right here. Well, I see that this cuts through the center of the circle, and half of a circle is 180. So I'm going to do 180 minus 112, and I'll get 68. So I know that this is 68, which also happens to be the arc that A intercepts. All right, so I'm going to take 68. This is going to be for angle A, and I'm going to divide it by 2, and I'm going to get 34. So I'll know that A equals 34. And then C, my last one, I'm going to again see that that line cuts through the semicircle, which means that this whole arc, all right here, is equal to 180. So to find this part right here that C intercepts, I'm going to do 180, and I'm going to subtract 56, which will give me 124. So now, knowing that that piece is 124, I'm going to find C, which is going to be 124 divided by 2, which will give me 62. And that will be my answer. Okay, so right here, I'm going to go ahead and find this arc first because I see that this is half of a circle. So I'm going to do 180, and I'm going to subtract 76. I'm going to get 104. So 104 right here. Now to find C, I'm going to do that 104 because it's an inscribed circle and divide it by 2, and I'm going to get 52. So I'll have my A, I'll have my B, I'll have my C, my D, and my E. Ooh, lots to find for this one. So now I know that C is equal to 52. Now I'm going to figure out what in the world D is. And D won't be too bad because I see again, hey, this is a semicircle, and this portion's 110. Well, if it has to be 180, then 180 minus 110 gives me 70 degrees. So I know that D is equal to 70 degrees. Okay, let's go ahead and find B, which intercepts this arc right here, which is 110. So I'm going to take 110 divided by 2, and I'll get 55. So I know that B is equal to 55. All right, A intercepts where D is, which we already found, right? D we figured out was 70. So to find A, we're going to take 70 divided by 2, and we'll get 35. And we'll know that A is equal to 35 because we know that D, this arc here was 70, and we divided it by 2 and got 35. And now E, our very last one, we'll see that it intercepts this arc right here, which is 76. So we'll take 76 and divide it by 2, and we'll get 38. And that's our last one. Oh, well, you can't see any of those. There, I hope that helps. All right, guys, again, come to office hours if you have questions. These intercepted arcs and inscribed angles can be a bit confusing. So use highlighters, mark up whatever you need to. I will attach the PDF for the homework so you can print it out if you want. All right, have a good one. Bye.